Who I'd like to talk to you about second is Phyllis Robinson. Now, this is probably not a name you know very well. And it's mostly because Phyllis Robinson was more concerned with doing great work than self-promotion, which was kind of a Mary Wells thing. And Phyllis Robinson disproves this whole casting couch thing that comes across in Mad Men. And that's kind of my third beef with Mad Men. Why do all the female characters on the show have to go through such grief to get ahead? It really didn't happen that way. I mean, it's nice, juicy TV, but Phyllis Robinson shows that it didn't happen that way. And you know, this is one of the things I hate about Mad Men. I mean, Peggy Olson had to start as a secretary and literally beg Don Draper to write little bits of copy. And the Joan Harris character, if you remember, had to actually sleep with a client to become a partner in the firm. It didn't happen that way. And really, I think it's insulting to women because women didn't have to go through this. Phyllis Robinson started at the top and stayed at the top. She started her career at Gray Advertising as a copywriter. She didn't start as a secretary. She didn't have to sleep with anybody. She was brilliant, she was talented, and she was one of their top copywriters. Bill Bernbach saw the work that she did and hired her to be his first copy chief, which is the position she retained the entire 20 years she was at Dildane Bernbach. She was a happily married woman to one man her entire life. She had a very well-adjusted daughter who was not born out of wedlock. And she was a mentor to a generation of other female copywriters and male copywriters. Specifically Mary Wells and Paula Green owe a lot of their success to her. She was a lot more interesting again than Don Draper because of the work that she did. And her biggest success was ads she created for a department store in New York called Orbox. And I guess the best way today to understand it is they were kind of the Gordmans of New York. And they competed against Macy's and Bloomingdale's, which had advertising budgets 20 to 50% above Orbox. Orbox was kind of a, here's where you come to get your kind of, you know, discount kind of clothing kind of a thing. And she partnered with Bob Gage, who I wish I could talk about today, but we don't have the time. They were a classic partnership, copywriter, art director partnership. And as I said, they did these ads for Orbox, and they competed directly against the big boys, Macy's and Bloomingdale's. Here's a Macy's ad from this time. It's for their men's shop. Macy's men's store knows it's Yale. And I have to read this because it's so bad. We should know Yale. It's men, it's customs, it's traditions of dress. We've been selling on campus opposite Sterling for quite a few years now, and it goes on and gets even worse. And not only do I hate the headline, for whatever that's called, but this dippy little illustration of the guy smoking. Now, this is what Macy's was running, which ran the markets. This is what was in the New York Times. They probably had 10 to 20 ads running at one time. Orbox could only afford one. Here's Orbox ad for their men's shop. Shop at Orbox Men's Shop. Now, when you look at it, you say to yourself, well, this is just a little visual game. Exactly. You didn't see this kind of thing in the New York Times. You saw this, not this. And that's all. Robinson was so brilliant, she knew that's all she had to do was break through the boredom barrier. Okay? She was most famous for this ad. I found out about Joan. It's a cat with a with a cigarette holder and one of those hats. And the copy is really hard to read. This is an ad that's really hard to find. But the copy talks about, it's this cat talking about this woman named Joan who dresses really well, and everyone thought she was rich and she got her stuff from Bloomingdale's, but no, she shops at Orbox. So it's this kind of, gossipy kind of a thing. And you're saying, well, these are really fun, but did they really work? You better believe they work, and let me tell you why. Because in 1958, when Volkswagen came to New York to start selling the Beetle, marketing it to America, they didn't do an agency search. They came to New York and they started asking people, who does the Orbox stuff? That's who we want. There was no RFP or nothing. They found out that Phyllis Robinson and Bob Gage did these, and they went to Dildane Bernbach, and they were with Dildane Bernbach the entire time. Okay.